Welcome to the Gathering Greenhouse. We are excited to be here. You can see we're a trio today, like the Three Musketeers or any other things that come in threes.
Amigos.
You know, Three Amigos. Ooh. Did you watch the Three Amigos growing up? Were you allowed to watch something like that? I know there's no chance David watched the Three Amigos growing up. Your parents took you to Three Amigos?
Okay, do you understand? I wasn't a kid.
Okay, how old were you?
Guys in high school.
You were yeah, but in high school you were. What is that rated? Is it rated PG-13 or something?
I don't know. I thought it was dumb, so I didn't watch it.
I can't remember. It's one of those movies that you watched a long time ago, but
No, I still watch it.
Who was in it? Like Billy Crystal or
no,
something?
Billy Crystal was not in it.
Okay.
Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, Martin Short.
Yep.
Those are the Three Amigos.
The Three Amigos.
He's in the mood. The singing.
Well, you're looking a bit Indiana Jones.
That's right. We're doing archaeology
and
today.
you do realize that there's a new Indiana Jones movie coming out that I'm super pumped for. But
is Harrison Ford in it?
He actually is. He's the star of
Harrison Ford in the wheelchair of doom.
That's the problem with it. But they tried to reboot the series and it didn't work out. But so we're going to start out this morning with a fun question, and then we're going to get into some Easter archaeology and some other parenting type questions, since we have our parenting expert with us this morning. Right. She's going to drop some wisdom on all of us. Okay, so what I thought it would be fun that we did this morning, since it's kind of a family podcast.
Gotcha.
We had Andrew in a couple weeks ago, and we talked about some family stuff, and we're going to do some family stuff today because at the gathering, we love families. We love little kids. So this is going to be fun.
We love big kids too.
We love all kids. Kids in
kids.
all sizes. Yes. That was assumed in my thought. Okay. So there's been a lot of chatter around the gathering and in the youth group about this March Madness of candy on Facebook.
It's just disappointing.
It's disappointing.
It's
so I thought we would make all the wrongs right today.
If you're a parent of a teenager in our youth group, you have failed.
Let's explain that, because they haven't really failed, but they failed in the sense of candy.
This is a big failure.
Okay, well, let's hear. Explain why is it a big failure?
You need to. So the March Madness of candy is
March Madness of candy is they took all the popular candies and they put them in a bracket, and then everyone got to vote which one moved on. And the last chart that I saw wasn't complete, so maybe John or Matt could shed some light on what actually took place, because they didn't really update it on Facebook. I know they were talking about it, so you're gonna have to help me out a little bit. But they put it in the bracket. I can put it kind of close here, but here's the bracket I have. But on the bracket, as you can see, it has all the different candies and they move on. I'm not sure why they're all numbered to begin with.
They're seeds.
Yeah, how did they get seeded though? That's what I was wondering, how they determine the seeding.
Well, how do they determine the seeds in the regular tournament?
Because there's like play-in stuff, like there's a regular season.
No, a bunch of people in a room say you're going to be this seed and you're going to be this seed.
Yeah, but it also depends on their record and stuff. Like if they didn't win a game, they're not going to get seeded anywhere, So like you do have to win.
I think basically Andrew just seeded them based on
his opinion.
It's skewed.
But he was right. The seed, like the number one seed is Reese's.
Yeah.
That's appropriate. They deserve the number one seed.
But do you believe that the number 8 seed should be Butterfinger?
Sure.
Okay.
Nobody better lay a finger on my Butterfinger.
I don't like those, so sure.
Right, exactly.
I could see Twizzlers is not in here, which kind of surprises me. Is that because younger people or younger kids don't really have a love for Twizzlers?
I think I'm the only person in America who buys Twizzlers.
No, we do. We like Twizzlers.
I like Twizzlers.
Oh, yeah.
So,
for sure.
Wait, when you say Twizzlers,
David also likes the circus peanuts, right?
Ew, David.
I'd put the circus peanuts as like the 2 seed.
Oh, man, those are awful.
My dad loved the circus peanuts.
They're better when they're a little bit stale. So when you first get them,
they come out stale. What are you talking about? They come out of the package stale.
They're like communion wafers. Like when
so I think we're back to the whole I can't taste, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
you
so
can't
I like
taste.
texture.
But it's like eating plastic or styrofoam.
But it's not.
That'd be the texture I would.
It's communion wafers, the waxy ones.
All right. So what we're going to do is right some wrongs here. Okay. So we got 5 people in our room, so we can actually have a winner here. So we're going to start with round 1 here, which is...
Why don't we just skip to the final 4?
Well, final 4. I don't know what the final 4 here is, so we can just skip to the final 4.
Here,
I'm just going to...
I can tell you what it was.
Okay, you can tell me what it was because they don't.
It says right there. It's Reese's against Nerds clusters.
But what are those?
And then this one down here was Snickers against Skittles.
Okay, I didn't know that one. Okay, so
2 really obvious choices.
Reese's and Nerd clusters. What are we gonna say?
Reese's.
It's Reese's, and it should be unanimous.
Reese's.
And parents, if your kid didn't say Reese's, you failed.
Okay.
I would protein in Reese's.
Honestly, I would put Nerd clusters as my number 2. I love Nerd clusters. They're fantastic.
Are they just nerds?
No,
stuck
I would
together?
No, definitely not above Reese's.
I don't even know what
That's why I say number 2.
I think it's nerds stuck together. Help us.
What is
It
a
should
nerd
be.
cluster?
It wasn't though.
It's a gooey, like
It's
chewy thing.
Yeah, it's almost like a chewy Twizzler, kind of like that kind of
That sounds
consistency
disgusting.
with
Terrible.
Nerds. So you got the crunch and the sweetness, then you got the kind of soft and chewy in the inside. It's great. Texture wise is awesome. And flavor wise too. I think they're great. Matt's shaking his head.
But
no.
it's not. It doesn't matter if it's good, great, medium, terrible. It's not as good as Reese's.
It's not as
It
good as
can't
Reese's.
be.
That's all
Okay.
that needs to be said.
Now, Rebecca, okay, could you set us straight here? Now, is there a difference between the regular Reese's cups and then some of the like holiday Reese's things, like the
Yes.
pumpkin or the egg? Which is better? What's the best Reese's?
I think that the shaped ones are fun.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with those.
Okay, just because they're fun.
They're fun. I mean, they're shaped like bunnies and trees.
They're not
and
traced. I've never seen a bunny one. The
not
egg,
bunnies.
right?
I thought they were bunnies.
They probably have them. I've never seen them.
I might be thinking of Peeps.
Now,
There's eggs though.
there's
right?
definitely the eggs. That's
Yeah.
the popular one. And in my opinion, the best by far. David,
I don't care. I mean, they're all good.
see,
Now, here's the thing.
See what I have to deal with
You
here.
do occasionally.
Oh, bless
you do occasionally find one with dark chocolate, and I don't know why
Yuck.
they don't make more of those.
I don't know either.
they
That
also
sounds
have
great.
like, remember I had the Witch's Brew one?
What's
Do you
that?
remember
Is
back
it green?
to that? It was a Kit
It's like,
Kat.
what is that? Like
It was
8
green.
years
I'm not
ago?
eating a green
It was
Kit Kat.
green and like they have these marshmallow flavor, but we won't get into that. Okay. Anyway, so then the other final 4 is Snickers and Skittles.
Yeah.
Okay, Snickers or Skittles.
Again, a no-brainer.
To me too.
What is a no-brainer?
It's Snickers.
I would agree with that.
Snickers?
John.
So I'm not. I like Snickers, and I tend to like chocolate over fruity. So I would probably say Snickers.
Okay.
But Skittles is probably the best of the fruity candies.
Well,
You know?
but
So
being
that's hard to
Regular Skittles or like they're tropical or sour?
Really good.
I love tropical.
this is I don't
I haven't had Skittles forever. But
So just because it's the best of the bad doesn't make it good.
well, it's in a bracket, so it's got to be good. Like
That's
it's
what I'm saying. It's hard to
saying all
decide one of my least favorite.
Well,
chocolate
Purdue
bars.
got into the brackets. I mean, they were good.
That's hard.
yeah, they were.
Not everything in
At-
the brackets
at
is
that
good.
time. At that time, they were good. I love the side by side of like Purdue's stadium, and I can't even remember the
Fairleigh
team.
Dickinson.
Yeah,
Actually, I think Fairleigh Dickinson Stadium is really cool looking.
It is
I'd be
cool
like, I'd
looking.
go to a game there.
Heck yeah.
I'm not going to West Lafayette for a game, but I'll go there.
yeah,
Where's Fairleigh Dickinson?
I don't even know. I
Yeah,
think it's
I
in
don't
New
know.
Jersey. Is it?
yeah. That sounds right.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
So maybe I wouldn't go.
Okay, so then we have it for our championship. It's Reese's versus Snickers.
It's Reese's.
Ooh.
It's Reese's.
Reese's.
It's Reese's.
Everyone is unanimous. We've made all the.
I didn't say anything. I feel so left out. It's because I'm a girl, isn't it, Steve?
I just don't listen very well. It's not that you're a girl.
I think that's hard because Snickers, like if you're hungry, it satisfies you, right? Reese's.
So you're going
Reese's
Snickers.
is just. I may go Snickers.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
okay.
here's the
So it's
here's
not
the
unanimous
test.
then.
When you go to the grocery store
Uh-huh.
This
and you're
podcast is
checking
not-
out, right,
Uh-huh.
and they've got all the stuff right there, what are you grabbing?
Gum.
Gum.
I love gum.
Gum didn't.
I'm not
make the
grabbing
tournament.
anything. This is like $2 for a candy bar.
Do you remember the
It's a
gum
good-
though that
Heck
had
no,
the juice in the
man.
middle? It was called like Freshen Up.
So if you've got
Remember
a
that?
free coupon,
Said gum.
right, that says
Yes.
you get anything off the rack you want.
Okay.
It's a free coupon. What are you grabbing?
Score.
What?
I don't even know what that is.
It's kind of like the like stepsister of the Heath bar. It's like a toffee, chocolate and toffee.
It's real good.
Yeah.
Never heard of
Score,
Score.
like a
No.
symphony score, I think.
Most
Is it like a
underrated
score, musical score?
Chocolate candy.
Score.
Score.
They're phenomenal.
Underrated.
Phenomenal.
Underrated candy?
Chocolate covered circus peanuts.
What? No, those don't exist. Do they?
I think
They
that's
should.
underrated.
That sounds
should.
terrible.
At the bottom.
I don't
Malacup.
know what these are called.
Malacup.
Cereal bar.
No, I'm gonna go underrated as Mallow Cup, especially the dark chocolate.
I used
one.
to like
I never had a Mallow Cup.
whatchamacallit.
Yeah.
Whatchamacallit?
I liked whatchamacallit. I like
I loved
100,
whatchamacallits.
100 grand.
Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
I like those.
100
Yep.
grand. That's a good one, too.
That is a good one.
Okay, well, let's get into some questions this morning. I'm going to let you drive the ship a little bit today
Okay.
with our first question. Would you rather talk about Easter archaeology now, or would you rather talk about it later?
Well, I'm sure people are wondering why I have a donkey
Well,
on
that's
my
what
shirt
we
and
built
why
a little
he's-
anticipation.
Okay,
I like
you
that.
tell me. You're the captain of the ship.
Well, I was letting you. Do you want me to make the decision? Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay.
because you're the
Well, let's-
podcast professional.
I was saying let's
why
talk
are we
about it
on a
now
sh-
because it's
why do
the
we have
most.
to be on a ship?
we should be on a donkey.
Can't we be on a train?
We could be on a train. Sure, but you don't really drive a train. You don't
wear
steer.
your engineer
You don't
shirt.
steer a train though. Only when they come to those.
He's probably on a Nazi train trying to take it over. You know.
Wow.
Okay.
Things just went dark.
So now we're gonna get canceled by YouTube because he
From
said
racist
Nazi.
to Nazis.
Yeah,
And you just said it now too.
I know.
And I did too.
Yeah, you want to say it just to
No,
get
I
the
don't.
trifecta?
I don't want to. So let's do it first. That's what I was.
Okay.
I would say. So explain the outfit first, then, since that's the
Yeah.
donkey in the room.
So, Easter archaeology is on Palm Sunday. We know that Jesus rode a donkey
Mhm.
from, the
He did the
Bethany
donkey
down
hop.
to- he did the donkey hop. David's going to be a rap star now. Yay. That'll be fun. Anyway, Jesus rode his donkey and he rode into Jerusalem for his triumphant entry. And so the
And
reason
why did he ride a donkey?
why
I'm
did
gonna
he
let
ride
you
the
answer that
donkey? Why
question.
are you asking me like,
Well-
are you gonna ask me about like eschatology next? Like
No.
what are we doing? Okay.
I think it's important, right?
Well, I
He rode a
focus
donkey.
with kids on
Yeah.
Jesus' he's humble.
Yeah.
And he
Mhm.
picks this humble donkey and he
I
comes
love
on
that
it full
part.
of a
Yeah.
donkey. So that's what I focus on with the kids.
It's also like foreshadowed in Old Testament.
Big time.
Yeah, it's a
Yes.
fulfillment of prophecy.
Fulfillment of prophecy.
It's messianic
it's-
prophecy,
yeah.
my favorite.
So-
Which I'm like, whatever, donkey, like foreshadowing a prophet. Like, there's a lot. I'm not to say that that's not a big deal. It is, but there's so many of them in
I
the
love how
Bible.
you're
it
like,
kinda
I'm super passionate about candy, but Bible,
Hey,
Isaiah.
Isaiah,
Like on my bracket of prophets, Isaiah gets knocked out early.
Isaiah would not get knocked out early.
And,
For
you-
sure.
and the other thing about the messianic prophecy piece is that kids, that really resonates with them. And
Yeah.
this one is very specific. It even says a foal of a donkey. It's very specific prophecy. I mean, what are the chances that that's not,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
not Jesus.
To
when he's
me,
Jesus kind of thing.
one single prophecy is not the reason. I'm trying to explain why. So, because one prophecy doesn't make an absolute proof, but a wide range of prophecies does make you sit and be like, how is that possible? All those things could be true. You know,
Yes.
like
A cacophony
a cacophony of prophecies.
prophecy.
Would you
That can
say
be part
there's
of the rap song?
gotta be, it
here's
rhymes.
a Three
rhymes.
Amigos? Would you say there's a plethora of prophecies?
I'd say there is a plethora.
I don't know what they're doing there.
You don't remember that? That was like
Plethora?
one of my favorite lines. And
Yeah.
when El Guapo was having his birthday party,
Is this in Three Amigos?
Yeah, we're back to Three
Which I did
Amigos.
not
and he
see.
was
Yeah.
playing El Guapo, this mercenary who is terrorizing the civilians. They're throwing him a birthday party, and he wants a bunch of piñatas there. And he's like, "Is there going to be a plethora of piñatas?" And they just kind of like stuck on that.
Yeah.
It was
Plethora
funny.
of
Do you
piñatas.
remember like the adjective that precedes El Guapo? He is the
No, I don't remember.
Infamous.
Oh, infamous. Yeah.
and what does infamous mean?
More than famous.
Yes, he's infamous. He's
He's
more
in
than
more than famous.
He's infamous.
Okay, we've lost all the millennials and
I'm still not watching it.
Gen Zers. If they were watching it all,
You should watch it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
I don't even remember where we were.
My
going
kids
now.
loved
So tell
it.
us
Talk
about,
about donkeys.
Yeah, so tell us about Easter archaeology.
So I think kids seem to kind of feel like the Bible is a fairy tale sometimes. So the goal of Easter archaeology is to say, no, here are the places that we know Jesus was, and here's the actual gate he walked through when he got into to go up to the temple and all those kinds of things. So it's going to focus on that. If we have time, we'll hit on some of the other sites. We'll show the couple of possibilities for Golgotha, and we'll hit on those kinds of things. But we're really going to focus on this trip on Palm Sunday, because it's on Palm Sunday, about Jesus's actual journey. And here are the pictures of the places and those kinds of things.
So I've seen you working on getting ready for the Easter archaeology and all the stuff you're doing, all the thought you've put into it and effort. So I know you've put a ton of thought and reason into doing this, but my question here is just one that the first thing that comes to my mind on Easter and a kids activity, like, why don't we just do an Easter egg hunt? Why is this better than that?
Well, I don't want to disparage the bunny, but
I'm just saying people are thinking that possibly.
Why not just have? Yeah. Well, here's the deal.
Yeah.
We don't get to see kids, every day. That's the parents' job to disciple them. Right. So when they are here, I just feel like let's focus on the things that they're not going to get anywhere else besides here at church. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you can go to an egg hunt anywhere. Yeah. There's millions of them to choose from. We're going to we may possibly, there might be some eggs and some hunting maybe.
Yeah.
At Easter Archaeology. But
will they be discovering possibly some eggs? Or something like that?
I'm not going to tell.
Okay. There's secrets, so you have to come to find out.
And it might not be eggs, but it might be just hunting.
Hunting for
like
things.
an architect.
Like an archaeologist.
Oh, yeah.
For
the master egg hunters.
Right.
That's good. Like master egg hunters.
I like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. So have you done anything like this before?
I've done Easter Archaeology before as a series. So, but it wasn't quite like this. This is more like a little VBS packed into 2 hours, and it's going to be packed.
Okay.
Like, there's going to be a lot of things happening.
That's exciting to hear. So explain what you kind of mean by VBS packed into
2 hours.
2 hours. Yeah.
So what do you do at VBS?
Crafts.
You have fun. You do crafts. There'll be crafts. You learn things.
You sing songs.
You sing songs.
Is there going to be like characters and stuff? Because that's one of my favorite parts when they do a little skit in the beginning.
I'm not going to tell.
Okay.
You have contests to give money to missionaries, boys against girls.
We don't have time for the missionaries. Sorry, missionaries.
Does someone is it a challenge? Then someone gets slimed if whoever.
No, Rebecca's not getting slimed.
Hey, I will get slimed.
There's no slime for Rebecca.
He just said he would get slimed.
You did?
Yeah.
Sweet.
I want to do one of those things where you ever see on YouTube where they have the bucket of foam and they throw something in it and it just goes crazy, like neon colors. Have you ever seen those?
I think
that's what you want.
Fun. Yeah.
I think since we're doing archaeology, kind of with the Indiana Jones theme, we should throw
spiders, snakes.
We should throw him into it. Yeah, a pit of snakes.
I'm not afraid of snakes.
See how he does.
If there are snakes, I'm not coming. So I'm saying.
I'm not. Snakes don't frighten me at all. Only the poisonous ones.
How do you know if they're poisonous?
Well, generally,
you don't die when they bite you.
Generally speaking, they have more colors. But I know rattlesnakes and stuff.
So what if you're colorblind?
I don't know. I mean, just stay away from snakes in general. I mean, that's probably a good idea. Good practice in life. Okay. Well, good job. Do you have anything so if there's parents who may be watching or grandparents, here's your 10-second pitch. Why should they come to Easter Archaeology?
Because Jesus and his story is amazing. And the fact that we get to actually see parts of it, I mean, what's cooler than that?
Yeah. It's going to be worth your time.
All right, so let's do the details real quick.
Yeah.
It's
there we go.
April 2nd.
Yes.
Right after our third service. So
First
that's the
number
11
3,
o'clock
like
service.
the Three Amigos.
Kids just are going to stay after, and there's
We're gonna
food.
Yes, we're going to feed them.
It's going to be good food.
Archaeological food?
Well,
Good kid
how do
food.
you make a chicken tender archaeological?
Like dinosaur
Chicken
nuggets.
tenders?
Yeah.
Donkey.
Dino nuggets. I mean, that's what I was thinking.
Dino nuggets. They're not nuggets, though. They're tenders. So they'll be that.
They're tenders.
And then,
Dino tenders?
Huh? No, what is
I think you're
dino tender? We'll think of something catchy.
All right.
to call it.
So then there's food, and then how long do they stay? When is it done?
So at 2:30, that's pickup time.
Okay.
And, we may be, coming in hot. Like, we might not be quite done, but we're going to, because we got 2 hours to pack in a lot of stuff.
Right.
2:30 is our time.
How much does it cost?
Nothing.
0.
It's free.
It's free. Yeah.
Yes.
It's going to be fun.
All right. And so do they need to sign up?
Yes. If you sign up, happens on our Church Center app.
So they have to. sign up.
to sign up. It would
Or
be
could they show
preferable
up?
if you sign up. That way we have
want
enough
people-
dino tenders.
We want people
for
to
everyone.
sign up, but
Yes.
Yeah.
don't let that stop you.
No, don't.
Right. So if you're watching this right now, you should sign up.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you forget, still bring your kid.
Oh, yeah.
Can we
Please
put
do.
can we put a link in the description to help people sign up? Is that something we can
That's
do?
easy. Yes, we're getting a thumbs up there.
All right.
Awesome.
So
Okay.
hopefully
Good
there's
job.
a link in the description that you can click on that will take you right to our Church Center page.
Yes.
Where you
Is
can
it
sign
on
up.
Church Center? Is that where
It
they
is
register?
now,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's on
All
there
right.
now.
Great. Okay. So Shannon was the one on Sunday who gave the majority of the message. I know you
Yep.
came up and introduced her and talked about some things, but I wanted to leave this as a little bit of an open-ended question about Shannon on Sunday, because I think it'd be fun just to talk about that for a moment. So what were your thoughts about Shannon's message? Did you get to
I did
listen?
yes.
So did you watch it after the fact? Is that kind of how
Well,
you
I
got-
always have to watch after
Right.
the fact. Yeah, but I watched after the fact. I listened to it on my way in yesterday to church. And I thought that it was wonderful. And the way that she talked about and was so open about the specific events and all the
Mhm.
pain she'd been
Yeah.
in such a short period of time, it's just a huge testimony of God's grace. And that's pretty incredible. And I thought her story was super moving.
Yeah, that was my most memorable moment too. I would agree with that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's powerful when someone is willing to share a personal story that's not necessarily fun and exciting and awesome. And I think what's great is there was nothing at the end where she like wrapped it all up and said, but now everything is awesome. Right?
Yeah.
There was no happily ever after. It was simply, yeah, this was tough, but we're called to abide. And when we abide, he stays with us. And I'm still going through it, but I like that there's no, happy ever after, because that's sometimes in life, the happy ever after doesn't happen until the other side of the grave.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, life is lived moving forward, but only understood looking backwards. And that's I
did
think
you make that up?
I think I read that somewhere, but I really liked that phrase because it's so true. In the moment, it feels like, you could feel the pain when she
Right.
was talking about those things because they're still fresh for her. And I'm sure she still doesn't quite understand how she's going to grow because of it, how other lives are going to be changed because of it. But Sunday was a big moment for her to, help others deal with the pain that
Yeah.
they're going through. Like that's like the cathartic part of like being able to like say, this is what I went through. It was really hurtful. Like part of my healing is expressing those things and like learning from it,
Yep.
and getting up on Sunday is that's a way to really express it to a lot of
Yeah.
people.
Yep.
And she trusted, it was clear that she trusts God with all these circumstances, which is a very mature, Christianity.
Yeah.
And it's refreshing.
Mhm.
And, when she said her last prayer, I thought, well, that was moving because, you could feel the intimacy that she has with God. And I think that's a good goal for all of us to, be like that
Yeah.
with God.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yep. Good stuff.
Good stuff. I have some like family type questions that I
Okay.
want to go to, and we can all talk about this as well. Are you a competitive person?
I'm only competitive if somebody's bugging me.
Okay.
Do you know?
like when you say bugging you, like they're like poking you and saying, like you want to beat them because
if they're like, oh yeah, I'm that, it might make me be like,
you're like,
okay,
I'm
you're
going to
not-
try now.
Yes, but only if I'm qualified for it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to beat you at I don't like those big Risk, those board games that go on forever
Yeah.
with the war games and all that.
Monopoly.
I hate that stuff. It's too long. I can't do it. But yeah,
Are you a
but if I can-
competitive person, David?
No.
Not yet. What?
at all? You lie. You have to be.
Are
You're
you
a sports
you're supposed
guy.
you're supposed to tell the truth here. Are you?
Not as much as I used to be.
Okay.
I used to like in
It's
middle
actually is good. I like where you're going with this.
in
here,
middle
'cause it
school. I
kind
was
of
a
feed into
nearly
my
elite
question.
athlete. So
And you're
In
like-
middle school, did you say?
middle school, yeah.
Same here. I was nearly
Yes,
elite.
Nearly elite.
I actually got to
was.
run the 4x100 in middle school.
Did you?
Yeah.
How'd you do?
I did well. Yeah,
Which leg did you run?
I can't remember. I wasn't the fourth leg. I know that
Right.
because that's like the fastest person gets to run the last. I wasn't first and I wasn't last. So I was somewhere in between. But yeah,
Yeah, I never ran track.
Yeah.
I hate running.
I did track.
I don't
but
like running distance. So.
But I
Okay.
did field.
So somewhat competitive. Used to be competitive.
No, let me just correct that.
Okay.
I'm not competitive.
Not competitive.
Rarely do I feel competitive.
Used to be competitive, now doesn't care as much.
Is that true though?
What?
Like if you're playing a game, like if we're playing kickball, do you not want to win?
I am super competitive. I love competition. It's actually
Depends who I'm playing.
See, that's
I'm talking over themselves.
Yeah.
Stop.
I know we're bad little. We're not
No.
falling into line.
No, I talk over people, so I'm trying to be more aware of that. So I am a very competitive person. I love, like, it's in my strengths finder. It's in my top 3 competition. It might even be number 2 in my strengths finder. But I love competition. I love winning, and that's where this question is leading to, because I think this is a really important question for parents to teach your kids how to lose. Okay. And I know that David has talked about this before, and it's an important issue for him. I think it's an important issue for all families. But why is it important to teach kids that it's okay to lose?
Because you're going to. It's inevitable. You're gonna lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you expand that any, or do you want us to kind of answer that question too?
Well, no, I'd love for y'all to answer the question too. But if you're, it depends on the context what you're talking about with losing. If you're talking about sports, I'm probably not the person to talk about that too much.
Sure.
But they're gonna lose, and I always try to tell my kids, keep it in perspective. Like, is this a devastating loss? I mean, if you're going to the Olympics and you lose, okay, you get to be mournful about that, But if you're just lost, the math challenge or whatever, like.
Right.
Better luck next time. It's fine.
Yeah,
I'll let you go first, David.
I could talk about this forever.
Yeah.
I do think this is one of the most important things. So losing is a good thing, right? Nobody wants to lose, but there's a lot.
Why is it a good thing?
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits in it. And so, take it out of the competitive square for a second, right? Sometimes losing just means letting go of things. And a lot of times in life, most of our pain is because we hold on to the wrong things. And so learning just to let go is super important. And I think we learn to let go as children when we learn how to lose, because losing is really just, I'm letting go of the expectation that I was going to win, right? So I remember when I was coaching and I had this group of, they were young, and we had a good team and we won most of the time. And we went out in this game and we played a team that we were better than and we should have beaten, and they kicked our butts. It was like 5-0. And it was just like, it was embarrassing. And as a coach, I wanted to just, throttle those little, no, not really. But, they all sat down.
What's throttling? What does that mean?
Like you just, well, a throttle is like when you put the engine down,
okay,
right?
Yeah, so you want to just go faster. And get them. Yeah, okay.
Anyways, I sat them all down. I said, oh, guys, you know what? Sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug.
Yeah.
And they all just looked at me like, you have no idea what that means, right? Because that kind of thinking that wasn't there yet. So then I had to explain, what it means. The windshield smashes the bug, and sometimes you get to be in there. Oh, so I was like, what were we today? They were like, we were the bug. I was like, yeah, we were the bug. That's okay. So, let me go back. Interesting though. Quick question.
Okay. Yeah.
What's the last thing that goes through a bug's mind when it hits the windshield?
His eyeballs?
It's butt.
Oh, his butt. I was going the wrong direction. Yeah.
Poor thing.
This is my dad joke for the day.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, so learning how to lose means,
unless he hits his butt first.
Right. It means you're willing to let go of that expectation that you're perfect.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden I realize, okay, I'm not perfect. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to be disappointed in life. How do I deal with that? How do I recover from that? How do I get back up and go again? And what happens is kids who never learn how to lose, they get further and further in life with this idea that they're always going to win. Mm-hmm. And then when they don't win, now they have to explain to themselves why they didn't win. And so they start writing these stories. And this is where the whole victim mentality
I'm not good enough.
From.
Well,
no, it's almost never I'm not good enough. It's everybody else has done me wrong. Everybody else is out to get me. Everybody owes me. This is everybody's fault but my own, because they never learned how to come to grips with the fact that, I lost this because the other team was better than me today. So, it's really important.
Yeah. So,
like one time my son was in in all 4 years he did marching band, which by the way is grueling. Like it's rough to be in the marching band. Lots of sweat, lots of kids passing out. But anyway, they would win like everything. all the time. And they finally lost once. And I was like, this is good. Like, they need to be able to process this so that they're not doing this, trying to learn to lose in adulthood.
Yeah.
Like, let's learn to lose when we're kids so we can figure it out when it happens, which it will in adulthood.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I just started watching this Netflix series called Losers. Have you seen it on there at all?
No.
So it's really good so far. I only watched one episode of it.
Is it a show or is it a
It's kind of
reality show?
It's kind of like a documentary, kind of like about losing. And it's the first episode was about boxing. Okay. And so to kind of paint the picture here is that our culture, our society in America, we value winners, right? We like, it's either, in professional sports, it's either championship or you stink, right? It's like, there's no in between. And those people who made it to the World Series, right, in baseball, like, that's a huge accomplishment, right? So it's like, this concept and this idea of either you're first or you're last is really actually harmful in our society and culture of like, man, no, you know what? You made it to World Series. That's really an awesome accomplishment that you have. And that's kind of what this like boxing thing was about, because it's magnified on more with, it's on one person, not a team necessarily. And in boxing, like this guy that they were following, he had won like the nationals like 5 years in a row and like went to the Olympics multiple times. So like he was a very accomplished boxer. And then he went pro, and his first professional match, he got knocked out. And he went back home and he instantly went from, the hero to you're a loser, immediately. And he was kind of talking through all that. And this guy was a writer, so he could really articulate it well. And he had written some books and things since then. But this idea of being able to understand the concept of, hey, your identity is not placed on if you win or lose, right? It's a game. It's a sport. It's an activity. You're not going to always be the best person, like David said. Like it's okay to lose. I think, there's that side of it too, that like your value's not based in where you made it in the end. It's the amount of effort and work that you put into it. Because we're not all created equal in the sense of the gifts and talents that we have. So helping our kids to understand that it's more than about winning and losing, because culture is always already saying, if you lose, you're a failure. So I think that it's a good topic for parents to teach kids of like, talk through, like it's not about how the results of the game, it's how you played in the game. Would you agree?
Well, no, it is about the results.
Right.
I don't think we should take that away.
Right. No, I don't completely take it away. But if you've lost, then.
But so losing should be painful.
Yeah.
I don't think we should take the sting out of losing.
I agree with that completely.
And, we should say, hey, that's not what we wanted. And I think that's the danger sometimes is, your identity is not wrapped up in whether you win or lose, because it is just a game. But as you get older and get into life, your identity does become part of winning and losing, right? If winning and losing at your job, winning and losing in parenting, winning and losing in your marriage, all those things. There are times, though, when you lose, and it's going to sting and it's going to hurt, and that's okay. It should sting, it should hurt, you should be disappointed. The question is, what do you do next?
That's the key point,
right?
Is what do you do next?
Yeah.
So I agree with that. Yes,
I think there's a lot of value too in kids need to be grounded in Christ. They just have to, because when they do win or lose, that's really not. You can always say, hey, you're following Jesus. That's the most important part of your life. And also, when you win and lose these games or these competitions, or you're on the debate team, that's all good for your character. You can't say that like that to a kid, but you say these experiences are going to serve you in the future, and you say it in a kid way, of course.
Yeah.
And I think that's really valuable, because kids are going to lose 100 times. They're going to get B's on tests. And I used to freak out if I get a B on the test, but you're going to have that stuff happen. And if you give them Christ to fall back on, I'm rambling now, but I'm a special needs mom, and I've had to talk to my son about things that, we shouldn't have to talk about. People say you shouldn't have to talk about. You have to talk about death, and you have to talk about all this heavy stuff. But I find that it's just a pinnacle of good parenting is to ground those kids in Christ. And when something happens, you explain things to them with God's truth. And that sounds like, hokey, but it's true. there is heaven, and that's where we're all going. And
Did
we're
you
all
just
going to have
Jesus juke us?
I did Jesus juke. I was going to say it, but I couldn't remember if it was juke or another word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Jesus.
Anyway,
You Jesus juked
juke.
us.
But it's true. Like, we're going to talk about parenting. I think that's like a critical thing to do because kids can resonate with that. Like, one day everything is going to be okay, all of it. Mm-hmm. But you're going to be a better person for these things that you're walking through now.
So will you lose in heaven too?
There will be no.
There will be no losers in heaven.
No losing in heaven. No.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Sin nature brought about losing.
Everything will be a tie.
Everything will be a tie. Sounds terrible.
I actually wrestled with that when I was a kid. Yeah. Like I would stay up laying in bed at night thinking that trying to reason that out. Like, if there's football in heaven, how can you win or lose? Because you've got the perfect offense and the perfect defense, and the perfect offense is going to score every play, but the perfect defense is going to stop them. So this was really hard for me. It was a crisis of faith.
Were you worried that there was going to be no gaming in heaven?
Yeah.
Is that your?
Well, yeah. Talk about that for a second, because if pain and losing is good here on earth, why is it not good in heaven?
Yeah, because pain and losing is, so in and of itself, maybe we shouldn't say that it is good.
Yeah.
It is an opportunity.
Yeah.
Right?
I like to see it that way.
Yeah. So when I lose, I have a choice of what I'm going to do with that. Right? So I remember when I was in college, you mentioned the debate team. Right? I was on the debate team.
That doesn't surprise me.
Of course he was.
I was on a debate team for a little while.
And so me and my partner were in this tournament, and we were doing really well. And we ran into this debate that just the other team, they did something, and I don't want to go too deeply in the weeds, but it was questionable what they did. And, we made a topicality argument, but we lost that with the judges. And so we actually had to argue on their terms, and we just were not ready for it.
Sounds like you haven't let this go.
No. So we were not prepared for it at all. And they just destroyed us. And it was an embarrassing loss. Like, it was one of these very few times when you get up in front of the judge and be like, I got nothing else to say. We're just getting our butts kicked so bad. Right? So then
when you started the slander.
So yes.
Engaging in fallacious.
So then the question is, what do you do with that, right? And you can either choose to say, well, they cheated, yada, yada, yada. We were the victims. We lost. Or to say, you know what? This reveals something about us. And that's what we did. This reveals something about us. We didn't do enough preparation because we weren't ready for what they did. We got to get back to it. We got to fix this. We got to make this better. That's what losing does for you. That's why it's good. And it's the same as, everything else in life. When you suffer, the question is, how do you respond? It's either going to make you bitter or better. And what are you going to let it do? So I think that's the benefit of losing. But there doesn't need to be any losing in heaven, because we don't need to improve, right? We don't need to be shaped. We don't need to be formed. We will be fully in the image of Christ, so we don't need to lose anymore.
Okay. Good answer.
Thanks.
Should we wrap it up here?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not gonna talk anymore.
Well, no, I didn't know. I have no idea where we are on time. So,
well, we're gonna do our wrap.
Oh, you want to wrap? I do have more questions.
We're gonna do the donkey hop
because I think I have some. I have another really good one.
Can you beatbox?
I'm sure. I mean, I could try, but
you got a mic right here. It's like
people don't want to listen to that. So I do have another parenting question. If we're just going to keep going on this, so
sorry, John.
The question is cell phones, and kids, because this question comes up a lot. Like, we both used to be in youth ministry. I don't know if cell phones were a big deal when you were in youth ministry.
They were just coming.
So they were a really big deal when I was in youth ministry. They are right now as well. So the topic of age that you let kids have cell phones, what barriers do you put up for kids with cell phones? But let's just talk on the topic of what are the harms of giving your kid a cell phone when they don't have supervision over it?
Man, if you're trying to raise a kid, the way God would have you raise that kid, the cell phone makes it really challenging.
Yeah.
Because of a little thing usually called TikTok or Snapchat.
Or just the internet.
Or anything. Yeah. There's just a invasion in their little brains of these things. And if they're a lot of times, like on the bus is where kids that are like, sheltered get exposed to, or at school with these kids, 9-year-olds that have cell phones with TikTok on it. Do not approve, obviously. So I have a lot of concerns about that. It forces you as a parent to discuss topics with your kid that you normally wouldn't when they're 10.
Yeah.
And so we're being forced to kind of we have to let our kids be a little more in the world that we would choose because we have to.
Yeah. Can we earmuff for a minute? So parents, if your kids are watching with you, earmuffs for them. So here's the thing. There are places that parents would never take their kids, like a strip joint, a really nasty bar where, all kinds of stuff's going on. Mm-hmm. They'd never take their kids to go visit a prostitute or, walk the red light district in Vegas or whatever. Yeah. There's a lot of places where parents would never take their kids.
Yeah.
And their kids can go to all of these places instantly on their phone.
Yes.
And it's a disconnect that parents are not seeing this and saying, I'm not letting my kid go to, I wouldn't take my kid there. I'm not going to let my kid go there. And I think I'm going to get angry here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times it's just lazy parenting. It's just lazy. So yeah, I got so much to say on this.
I think too, a lot of parents feel like, well, I'm making my kid that little Puritan child that knows nothing about the world if I don't let them be exposed to some of these things. But we never had cell phones when we were kids. And, kids find stuff out, but let's not help them.
The Puritans did pretty well.
Here
right?
we go.
I mean,
David wants to be a Puritan.
Oh, honestly,
he needs a different hat
if you look,
for that.
Yeah.
So if you look at our country, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Really divided in North and South because for the first 100, 200 years of our country, that was the big division, right? And we would generally say both sides had some good and some bad, but the great issue of our country for the first 150, 200 years was slavery, right? And that was where? That was the South, right? The North, you have this strain from the very first people who set foot, the Pilgrims on the shores of North America, all the way through up to the Civil War and beyond. That's the abolitionists, right? That all starts with the Puritans. All of the people who fought against slavery and who were the strongest voices, who embedded in our founding documents the truths we would later need to abolish slavery. That all comes from the Puritans. So, I mean, I'm not sure we should look.
I'm not disparaging the Puritans.
I just think of that movie like The Village, M. Night Shyamalan.
That's not true.
I know it's not the Puritans, but that's just where my mind goes.
Zero witches.
Yeah. But the thing about that is you look at like that movie, right? That is the general way we view the Puritans today. Instead of saying, well, maybe like our whole education system before it failed was rooted in Puritan ideals, right? There's this thing called the Puritan work ethic that built America. I mean, we could go on and on.
Well,
we got David on a lot of tangents.
Here's what I'm really talking
cell
about.
Phones.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm talking about, though. You have people that assume that some Christian parents will raise their child to the point where when they go to college, they go crazy because they've never been exposed to any.
Right.
That's what I was talking about. Like you don't want to do that. You don't want to have a kid that knows nothing about the world and then send them out to the world.
You want to be a voice.
Yeah.
While you still have a voice.
It's always a fight. It's a push, to keep your kid not in the world, but not of the world. Yeah.
Being in the world and not letting them be of the world.
Right.
But the parent
says the homeschooler.
The parent should run the curriculum.
Perfect. No, I'm just saying you're the perfect person to say that.
When I'm trying to decide what my kids get exposed to and don't get exposed to, that's the parent's responsibility. And we can argue, politically, socially, that's the person responsible to God is the parent. Right. Mm-hmm. And so parents need to take that responsibility on themselves. Can I shift for just a second?
Yeah, let's shift.
So on the cell phone thing.
Yeah.
The reality is stuff changes, right? The world changes. And sometimes things change. So like this, what you have here, pretty cool, smartphone.
Thank you.
But radically different than the phones that existed 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Really different than the phones that existed 20 years ago. Like I remember our first, mobile phone, was like a bar phone, right? And then, even before that, I still remember bag phones. I don't know if you guys remember
We had a bag phone,
right?
yeah.
No.
So technology moves very fast. And like everything else in life, something that is really good can become dangerous and can even become bad. And so as a parent, you need to be constantly evaluating whether something is still good, right? At what point do the harms outweigh the benefits? And, early on with cell phones, it was super nice to have your kids have a cell phone because you could get a hold of them anytime you wanted. Mm-hmm. But for thousands of years, the world functioned without that, that nice thing. And so it's not like it's necessary, but it was super nice. But at some point, we've got to relook at this and say, is that benefit worth the harm that these phones can do for our kids? Get your kids a dumb phone.
Or my kids have like watches that I can text them, I can call them from it, and they have no access to internet. And
That's crazy to me.
I can control the contacts in there.
Yep.
So like you can see where they are. My problem is always, there's a lot of kids in my neighborhood. I don't know where they've gone sometimes. So the ability to just look on my phone and see where they are or call them and be like, hey, it's time to come home so I don't have to go hunting in every house.
Right.
That's
like they did for thousands of years.
Yeah. Right.
Do you want to hear a story about my dad? It's the most embarrassing thing ever. When it was time for dinner, the lights would come on. You had to come home, the street lights. But he had this.
You might need to explain that.
What? About the street lights
come on?
Yeah.
No, I mean, not for me.
Okay.
Well,
I've heard that term before.
When
but
it's dark outside in the street, what do you mean? People don't know about street lights?
No, I mean,
No, it's like time to go home because the street lights come
Kids
on.
today get a text when it's time to come home.
Yeah, right.
Well, we can't just let our kids run around like we did when we were kids. I don't think.
I don't think
we
so
were
either.
we were
I
gone
agree.
all day. But anyway, my dad had this bell in the front yard. It was like this big bell on a pole.
Yeah.
And when it was time to
Where
come
did he
home,
get this bell? Was
who
it just at the
knows
house
where this
already?
man got this thing?
Okay.
But it was like on a big pole. It's
Is
pretty
this
tall.
normal in Louisiana?
No, it's just my dad. So, but he had a bell on the top, and he would not only ring this big giant bell that was loud, but he would yell "Suey,
Suey.
Suey."
I like
Terrible. Thanks,
I like
Dad.
that. So
It's not amazing.
this is
And then
funny.
they called the little kids come running.
Well,
Because-
the ones in our house.
My mom had a bell, right? And it was an old ship's bell.
Oh, loud.
Right, and it was right by
From the Titanic?
It was right by the screen door. I don't know where it was from, right? But so she would do the same thing. She would ring the bell when it was time. She didn't yell "Suey."
She didn't
though.
yell "Suey."
Yeah,
Well,
no.
you missed out.
Yeah.
But when you heard the bell,
It's time to come home.
Yeah.
And you better come home
All right.
too.
Well,
back
I
then.
think John is ringing the bell right now for us to come home. So I think we should close things out for us. So thanks for spending some time with us today. I know you're going to be on the podcast again here in not too long. Excited for that. And
I'm kind of disappointed that we didn't get to do our rap.
You do it.
I'm
he
gonna
says
step.
our rap.
Well,
I'm just gonna close it
I
out.
did
Thanks for
say
joining
that.
us. If you guys want to rap, I'm gonna step off the screen and give it to them.
we're gonna work on it a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have it ready
perfect
for
it.
Easter. Yep.
All right. Well, we'll see you back here. Hope you
Do
got
the
something out of
donkey
it.
hop.
Dude,
It's the
I'm
donkey
not gonna
hop.
be
You
doing
don't
the donkey
stop.
hop. I'm not gonna be doing the donkey
the
hop.
donkey hop.
You guys can do that. You want to? All right.
Okay. See ya.